Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to break down the absolute political earthquake that was the 2025 Bihar Assembly election. Seriously, what just happened there? Let's figure it out.
You know, sometimes a whole election story can be boiled down to just one number. And for this one, it's 202. That is the massive, almost unbelievable number of seats the ruling NDA coalition managed to secure, out of 243. Just wow.
I mean, look at this chart. This wasn't just a victory, it was a total landslide. The opposition alliance was, well, they were completely decimated. So the big question, the one we're here to answer, is how? How did this happen?
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. You've got the BJP emerging as the single largest party for the first time ever with 89 seats. That's a big deal. But, the real story here, the one that's kind of shocking, is Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's JDU. They saw this massive rebound, more than doubling their seats from 43 back in 2020, all the way up to 85. That is a comeback.
Right, so a victory like this, it doesn't just happen by luck. No way. This was the result of a very precise, multi-pronged strategy. We're talking a combination of political engineering, controlling the story, and some incredibly smart welfare targeting.
You can really boil the NDA's success down to these three key components. Think of it as a three-step formula. First, you have flawless alliance math. Second, the double-engine narrative. And third, completely controlling the story. Let's start with that first one, the masterful coalition management. Okay, now this is what I mean by electoral efficiency. It's not just about getting votes, it's about converting those votes into wins. By allocating seats with surgical precision, the NDA made sure almost every single contested seat was a high potential win. And just look at those strike rates. Over 88% for the BJP, 84% for the JDU. That is absolutely how you turn a decent vote share into a monster majority.
And the NDA also just brilliantly controlled the narrative. They constantly contrasted their own governance with the memory of Jungle Raj, a term that really evokes these deep anxieties about past lawlessness in the state. It was a masterful move, really. It shifted the entire conversation away from tricky current issues like, say, unemployment, and onto the simple, powerful promise of stability.
And this quote from the Prime Minister, it just perfectly illustrates the core message they hammered home again and again. It framed the election as a very simple choice. You can go back to past instability, the so-called Khada Sarkar or gun government, or you can choose a future of development, of Viksit Bihar under their leadership. Super effective messaging.
But of course, strategy is nothing without the voters. So who actually decided this election? Which specific groups were the real kingmakers here, the ones who delivered this historic mandate?
Well, first and foremost, you have to talk about the extremely backward classes, or the EBCs. Their true significance was really thrown into the spotlight by that 2023 caste census. After that, they became the absolute central focus of every single party's strategy. I mean, just look at the numbers here. At 36% of the population, their vote is the single most important factor in any Bihar election. It's just simple math. And the NDA, well, they successfully solidified their long-standing support within this absolutely crucial demographic, creating a foundation that was just almost unbeatable.
Now here's where it gets really smart. The NDA basically reframed the state's traditional political math. For decades, everyone talked about the RJD's MY formula. That's Muslim plus Yadav. So the NDA countered that with a powerful new MY formula of their own, Mahila, or women, plus youth.
And that Mahila, or women's vote, it was just monumental. Seriously. Female turnout actually outpaced male turnout by nearly 9 percentage points. That created this decisive wave of support for the incumbent government, and you could argue it's what really turned the election in their favor.
Now, that surge in support, it wasn't a coincidence. It was directly linked to a massive and very timely welfare scheme. Just before the election was announced, the government sent out 10,000 rupees to over 1.2 crore women. The timing was, let's say, perfect, and the impact was absolutely decisive.
Okay, so that's the winning side of the story. Now we have to flip the coin. Let's talk about the opposition's collapse. Why exactly did the Mahagathbandhan's campaign fall so incredibly flat against this political machine?
And here it is. This is the central puzzle of the opposition's defeat. The RJD actually got the highest vote share of any single party, 23%. But that support was just incredibly inefficient, translating into a measly 25 seats. It kind of suggests their votes were all piled up in a few places where they were already strong and not spread out enough to win elsewhere.
And that problem? It was made so much worse by its allies. I mean, look at the Congress Party here. A disastrous strike rate of under 10%. They won only 6 of the 61 seats they fought. You're effectively wasting dozens of seats where maybe, just maybe, a stronger partner could have put up a real fight.
So after a loss this big, opposition leaders started pointing fingers at external factors. They alleged that a controversial revision of the voter list right before the polls disenfranchised their core supporters. Some even called it an electoral conspiracy.
But, a deeper analysis really points to some critical internal failures. They just failed to expand beyond their core Muslim Yadav base. They had no real answer for that powerful Jungle Raj narrative. And maybe most importantly, there was no unified, forward-looking vision. The campaign just never really got off the ground.
All right, so what's the big picture here? Because a state election as massive as this one, it rarely stays just local. The shockwaves from Bihar are definitely going to be felt across the entire national political landscape. And because of their deep demographic and political similarities, a lot of people are seeing Bihar's results as a kind of bellwether. It's a potential preview for what might happen next door in the absolutely crucial state of Uttar Pradesh in 2027.
And it's not like political leaders are being subtle about this connection. They are already drawing that direct line, basically saying the winning playbook from Bihar is going to be replicated on that much larger stage next door.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. Was what we just saw in Bihar more than just another state victory? Could this very specific formula, targeted welfare, clever social engineering, and a powerful story about stability, could this be the new blueprint for winning elections all across India? Something to think about.